Yeah, David. Cool. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sacrificing an hour in your Saturday. You're the first Maltese person on the podcast. Yeah, because all the other people that went before, they were expats or they're like,
Cool.
So I'm breaking the Maltese community in with you.
You're bringing in the Maltese.
Yes, exactly. And we talked a bit before about what we're gonna talk, but I'm mostly interested in music, obviously, because I actually Googled you, and what I found, the Google says most celebrated and versatile guitarist in Malta. You know, you never saw it?
No.
There's actually like a pin on Pinterest. Someone wrote like an article. I'll let you know. I don't remember the author.
I have no idea.
But there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. And maybe you can briefly like introduce yourself, just a couple of sentences, like what you do, you know.
Yeah, my main job is I'm a contractor, internal finishes. That's my main livelihood, obviously, because in Malta you can't live off music in Malta nowadays. You have weddings, bars. It's good. I've got a couple of friends who are doing very well for themselves, but I come from the 80s and we never like managed to infiltrate that sort of mentality that you can actually do something big with music unless you're abroad. We had done something it was quite big with Scar when we were in the about 2004, 2005.
I'm gonna overlay some videos because there's some on YouTube. I think you were in Eurovision at some point.
With Scar, yes, we
Scar?
had done. I think we had done Eurovision 3 times. Conrad had done Eurovision once on his own.
I saw the one where he was playing the piano in the middle of the crowd.
Yes, that was nice.
That was Eurovision, right? Or that was like awards.
That was awards. That was awards.
I didn't know he can play actually piano because I only saw him playing guitar.
He mostly songwrites on piano.
Okay. So he's a keyboardist primarily.
Keyboards and guitar. He's very proficient on piano though too. Yes, most of his songwriting he does on piano. Then he goes on the guitar, and him and myself we gel very well on guitar playing because he's got one style. I have another, and we like amalgamate very nicely. Sometimes, if you're totally different, you really manage to create music. Even because sometimes you say like with another guitarist, it's hard. But thankfully, I've encountered quite a few guitarists where one fits in nicely. Like my biggest, I remember when I used to play with Sean Vukovic with Envy, his wife's band. Like he was playing acoustic, I was playing electric, and we somehow really gelled well, you know. Like he's a very good proficient guitarist, he's an amazing guitarist, and managing to like really click well with him, that was quite something for me. It was quite a few years back, but it was nice, you know.
So Scar is one of the things that you do. Like you have other projects like Digger Things,
Scar,
Purple
Digger
Haze.
Things, Purple Haze, we just recorded a song now. We're going to release also with Bruce Samut. I've done some collaborations with Toby, Toda Musica.
That's a separate topic. I want to talk about that as well because you produced a lot of artists, obviously, as Toda Musica. Together with him.
We did with Marilyn Masood, Juno Valdez, with I forgot, with Jody Fitano.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah. I actually should mention that I know you through Jody.
Yes.
I should get him on the podcast at some point as well, I guess.
You'd have half Maltese, half
Exactly.
foreign, though,
Exactly. No,
not full Maltese.
But you know, like he's from your generation and he has so much stories already that I heard, you know, that we're gonna talk about, like Tignia Point and stuff. So you describe yourself basically daytime. It's contractor, like the business of that, and then nighttime is the music.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a hobby, it's a passion, you know. I mean, I always, when I started playing guitar, it was always a question of not only guitar, it was mostly songwriting. I love the songwriting part of music. creating sounds, rhythms, different influences.
Okay.
That's my main. I love the guitar as an instrument, obviously. I love the sound and everything, but it was never a case of becoming totally proficient on guitar. My main interest was always songwriting.
Okay, but you never went the software route. Or do you know like how to record on software, for example? So you just come up with music on the instrument and then someone else records.
Exactly. I record very, very draconian methods. I have my small Pandora box. Goes into the speaker. Mobile. Before, when the mobiles weren't recording, I used to use a Zoom
recorder
with a click track and send them. I build up the music like that simply.
Okay. I assume you used like an 8-track recorder in like 80s. They were very popular, or even 4-track, I think.
Once I had a very primitive Tascam recorder with cassette. It was the time when I was doing some songwriting with Mark Storm for his album. I had played on that also. I've always been collaborating. I enjoy working with various people. It's interesting. It's fun. It keeps you motivated too.
Yeah, refreshes. But I wanted maybe to start with obviously like there was an influence why you picked up music in the first place. Maybe the family, maybe friends. Like early childhoods.
My mother was a ballerina. So there was always music, dancing. She used to then give lessons. Okay. But there was always radio going on. I remember when we were young, the Carpenters, Beatles,
That's like super classical, stuff.
Exactly.
But like best of the best.
Then I started listening to once there was Santa Esmeralda on the radio. It's like a Spanish rhythm,
like a flamenco,
but on the commercial side, and it drove me mad. Then when I heard ELO, Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, that's even that. Like, obviously, I'm much younger than you, but ELO, I know them. I remember my dad listening to them from cassettes.
Jeff Lynne
and how many cassettes I damaged as a kid. I can't imagine, just spinning until it like breaks.
That's what got me in. And when I was young, also I was into athletics. I wasn't really good at school, so
like track and field, like running,
100 meters, long jump.
Oh really? I did that when I was like 16, 17, like very actively, like even like national championships I would go sprint.
Awesome.
Like 300 meters was where I'm dying already.
No.
I was like pure sprinter. I couldn't run more than 300.
I couldn't run more than 200.
Yeah.
200 no.
Long jump I liked as well, but then someone told me your knees will get destroyed from long jumping, and I kind of stayed with sprinting rather than
to train your landings. And
yes. It's a technique. Yeah.
Yes, you can't just jump.
I didn't know. Actually, like a couple of days ago, I went past Marsa, and there's so many kids in that track and field stadium.
Yes.
There's constantly like things going on. I didn't know there was a big community of athletics.
My
in Malta.
daughter, in fact. When she was still at school, she used to compete too. The same thing, sprints, and long jump too.
Okay.
But then we grew up a bit. We choose music. I chose music over art, over sports, because I also had done my art O levels and A levels, which I still like. But music is my main.
Okay,
thing.
So at some point, sports went into the secondary place, and music took over.
Exactly.
Was that the guitar that you picked up straight away, or like there was some other instruments?
Actually, in the 80s, when one starts saying, we'd make a band and so on, I actually picked up the bass because like we wanted to make a band, and someone already wanted to play guitar, and I had tried bass, and I remember listening to albums like Heaven and Hell of Black Sabbath, Mob Rules, and I said, I never really listened to the bass so much, to the rhythm. And that period, which was only a couple of months, I actually got myself to listen to the bass, which helped me a lot. Like even when we're in rehearsal room, when we used to rehearse in my room, I used to get the drums, which really helped me, understand rhythm more.
Yeah. Bass is a weird instrument in a way that, because I do music myself a bit, and like if you're actually not listening particularly for the bass, normally you don't hear it in the song unless it's based like on the bass line, but like it's something that blends in, but if you take it out, there's something missing. It doesn't sound good,
There's that type of bass, then there's the bass kind of like the Who. It's very
like a slap
it's
bass,
very
almost
busy, very nice. But then there's melodic bass like Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath, which it's tight, but there's a lot of melody too.
Yeah,
it's like guitar. There's so much bass, The world of bass is so amazing, and drums, the rhythms. Yeah. The styles.
It's strange because I'm a big fan of Queen, but I never paid attention to bass until I heard another one bites the dust. Because it's purely based on bass guitar.
I think the bassist wrote that song.
John Deacon, he wrote the riff. But I remember the time when I realized what bass is capable of was when I saw Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and how he goes to town, thumb slapping. And I was like, okay, so you can do that with bass. It's not just low frequencies, constantly.
The bass then came out a lot in the 80s, like Level 42, UB40. There were some funk, some disco songs, some new romantics where really the bass hit you in the face. It was because in the 80s, it was keyboards, bass, the rhythm was very important, the melody.
Yeah, synths came in.
Most it was synths, keyboards, and bass. And guitar was secondary. It was more funk, maybe melodic. It was nice. I enjoyed the new romantic period of the 80s. It was very interesting. A Flock of Seagulls, Human League. I like them. It was nice.
Yeah. So you took up the bass, but then guitar took over.
Just for the sake of saying, yes, we're going to make a band. But then I really got into guitar, I went to a couple of lessons, which lasted a month because I couldn't take it. Then I got into it, it was the time that when I was at Form 4 or Form 5, I'd tell the teacher, I have to leave class to go to the toilet. I'd run off, get the bus, because I had an idea in my head, and would have to go home to actually
put it down somehow.
To try and figure out. I remember I did it once.
Would you write it like
no
notation?
I'd go home and actually try and find it on the guitar.
Ah, okay. So you had the melody in your head, and then you're looking for it.
I had to.
Wow,
that was an obsession. It was a very
that's something I never had. I can make music, no problem, but I make music once I sit down to make music. It's not I'm somewhere and I get the idea.
No, it was always over there. Okay. It was always, and at that time we didn't have recorders or mobiles. We couldn't record it. So you'd sing it to yourself or have an idea, and you're scared you're gonna lose it. So,
or your brain will start changing notes and it's gonna drift to something else.
I didn't used to do it every day. I did it twice.
Yeah.
But
now it's so easy. You just pick it up, you record, you sing it, and then you have it.
That's
I know actually people who recorded guitar with their iPhone and actually used that sample in the final production.
You could.
It's insane. I mean, what you can do these days. Okay, so that was when creativity basically happened.
Creativity and the obsession on the guitar. I used to even see a piece of wood at home and say that would make a lovely guitar.
But so the lessons for bass, that's what took you away from bass, right? Because it was so structured.
No, I did lessons in guitar. When I stopped playing bass, they said I'm gonna go for guitar,
just focus
really seriously.
On that.
And I went to lessons for 1 month on guitar, which was theory and on acoustic with a massive high action,
So your fingers bled, basically.
And I said, no, I want to get into it faster, I want to... in fact, there's a friend of mine who still plays. He's a very good guitarist. On Facebook, he's called Mijnoon. I don't know, his proper name is Kevin Mania, but we had started playing guitar at the same time. His brother told me, my brother loves AC/DC, because all I used to wear is AC/DC. I met him because we're both fans of AC/DC, and we had a band together. I started playing together in my parents' sitting room.
I was gonna say, bands in the 80s were like, as far as I understand, like if you were in the music and you're not in the band, you're not proper musician. Like for 80s, bands were like social media right now, like you had your circle of friends that you jam, and exactly. I feel like there was so many people in bands at that time, and it's not that popular anymore. I think there's less jamming bands, like garage bands.
Before meeting up was, if you like music, if you know that there's a band rehearsing in a garage or someone's house, you're gonna try your best and go and see, because amps were limited, amplifiers, guitars were limited, so you used to be curious to see how someone plays. Don't forget, there weren't any videos. You couldn't learn things on video. You used to have either records or cassettes, or you go and mix with like sports. Like if you're into football, you're gonna try and go meet as many good footballers. You're curious to see styles and different. And yes, and at that time I made a lot of friends, which even today sometimes, they still play. I'm looking down because there's a doggy here. The long-legged sausage dog.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very much our social circle. Like basically all my friends were musicians, because I wasn't interested in anything else. If someone's going to start talking about accounts or his future plans to become a pilot, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you actually had to use your ears if you wanted to learn something. Like you had to find it on the instrument. There was no other way, unless somehow maybe you got like a tape. Were they VHS at the time? Like you could have...
No. Then those came later, when the tutorials came, when the tutorials
No, but even
if
you find like the concert, recording of the concert, somewhere, a video...
Yes, but...
You could maybe see how he did it, certain parts.
There was a lot of movement. Like the first videos I think I had seen was something of... If You Want Blood, Let There Be Rock of AC/DC and something of Iron Maiden. A friend of Ores, once there was something on an Italian television. We used to see it on the newspaper. We used to meet at my house. I remember we had met at a friend of mine, Pierre Bellizzi, who was the original drummer of Ska, trying to look at this band, I think it was AC/DC, Let There Be Rock. And we didn't understand anything. I mean, the cameras were all over the place.
Yeah. But AC/DC at the time was like...
We were starving for information, for exposure of others to us. So if you can go to a garage and see how someone is doing something to understand, like basically finger picking, I learned from a friend of mine, Pierre Gallia, who had a lovely Strat at the time. It was, I think, around 1983. We invite each other to each other's house. He came over, and I saw him finger picking. He just told me, the thumb, the fingers.
Oh, what Tom Emanuel does? Like the thumb is like independent from other fingers.
Taught me how the finger picking was. The thumb, the three fingers for the other strings. And like, I had never seen anyone or heard anyone actually finger picking. But when I saw him, like it opened another door, another way.
Another kind of playing.
So that's how it was, how we used to learn. Maybe someone learned something of me. I learned something of them. And there wasn't so much competition because we were so basic that you're not going to go and say, I'm good or something. We used to support each other. Concerts used to be packed with people.
Yeah.
We used to go because we used to enjoy it. We used to follow them. We used to genuinely enjoy hearing music and supporting each other. Now it's changed. Now it's so varied.
I feel like there's so much, like even online, that it kind of takes away the curiosity from a lot of musicians, like now you can find anything. Like if you don't know how to like finger pick or like any other technique of playing, like what's that chord, like how do you do that, like there's everything, and that kind of like demotivates, I think, sometimes. You don't have that drive to learn because it's so accessible to everyone.
It's so accessible, and it is accessible to people that are starting. Like if someone going to start guitar today and he puts on Polifia, he's going to get the guitar and throw it out of the window. Thankfully, when I was growing up, my influences were Michael Schenker, the bands with strong melody, lovely solos that meant something. The fastest guitarist at that point was Eddie Van Halen. Otherwise, you'd have Scorpions, YNT,
But Scorpions were more like ballads. They had a lot of ballads, no?
They had some lovely rock anthems.
I know Hurricane. That's like
one of
one of the biggest tracks.
Yes.
Wind of Change, actually.
Wind of Change was
slow,
a cheesy
but
one
classic.
That came after.
Yeah,
that
but
came
classic.
After. I'm talking about Scorpions, the classic ones like
and Van Halen, Eruption. I mean, first time I heard it, my brain exploded. Basically, like you couldn't understand that it's one person actually playing.
And the neoclassical wasn't something you'd follow. The neoclassical would have is Richie Blackmore. That's the most. But I used to love Michael Schenker. I still love Toto, Steve Lukather. Those were my influences. Like when then Yngwie Malmsteen came out, it was like, yes, it was very impressive, but it is a certain style that's, it's just that style. My favorite guitarist was always then Steve Lukather, because there's everything in it: rhythm, color, passion, tone. So when I heard Toto, which was later, when I started hearing bands like Brand X, Mahavishnu Orchestra, because we all pass through that phase, you start learning the guitar, you start basing your ideas on I never tried to emulate others, because my main band at the time was AC/DC. And if you hear what I played, the last thing I sound like is like Angus Young. I always loved his vibrato.
Yeah.
Which I think.
But he's so tiny, and he plays
and he uses his
Gibson SG. Yeah.
And when he does the vibrato, his whole body is like vibrating with him, because it's so small. That's,
I actually heard his interview where he said he was like, I'm a small guy, so like I need to use my whole body to actually play that guitar, because it's so massive. Yes. Even on a tall guy, the SG, it's a big guitar. And I love how in one of the interviews he got asked like, but don't you think that AC/DC sounds similar for the last like 30 years or even more? And he was like, like when you have a good recipe for a pie,
exactly,
you just use that recipe all the time because it works every time, And like I kind of agree. Like when you listen to like Black Ice, for example, and you listen to something they did like in the 80s, it's the same rhythm, same structure almost.
Unfortunately, people need to really understand AC/DC. I think from Flick of the Switch onwards, they've used that same formula. But if you listen to albums where you have songs like Touch Too Much or Sin City, you have, or Back in Black, the earliest ones of AC/DC till if you're gonna what is it called, the Gold album,
the one that they released when they were still with the first vocalist, right?
It came to me. For Those About to Rock.
Yeah.
If you listen to For Those About to Rock backwards, they have excellent stuff, which is different. You have different rhythms, different picking, different sounds, different phrasing of vocal lines. So they were interesting with Bon Scott, especially, you know.
I mean, they had bagpipes.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
like it was so influenced by the Scottish roots.
Exactly. If you hear Dirty Deeds, you know, it's amazing. The music they have still, for those about to rock, I think is classic. From Flick on the Switch onwards, yes. In fact, I had stopped listening to them from this album, Flick of the Switch, which then I tried to reach out again when there was Black Ice and Family Jewels. Yeah, they became a bit of a parody of themselves.
I think they maybe became a bit more commercial in the way.
They didn't expand, like even I Maiden, the recent tunes, some of them are, verging on the ridiculous because they are using the same phrasing and those, but slightly different. I suppose after one issuing so many albums, even I suppose myself, if you have to hear all the stuff I've done, you might, which on one way is good because you're recognizable. That's, I think, the most important thing, I think, in guitar or any type of instrument or band or music, that you are recognizable, you have your own style, and people can actually say, you know, that's it. I mean, one of my biggest compliments was I was once at a music shop in Valletta. It's closed now. And a guy actually came up and he said, I heard you from the corner and I knew it was you. That's for me, it was a compliment.
Of course, because then you have your own sound.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Someone acknowledged that.
You don't have to be good. I'm not saying how good it is or how bad it was, but saying, you know, like the Edge. You know, I mean, so many people have spoken about the Edge, just she's good or not good. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, he's amazing. His songwriting is good. He's unique.
Yeah.
You know, U2 would be nothing without him. Like AC/DC would be nothing without Angus Young. The Black Sabbath would be nothing with Tony Iommi. You know, the White Stripes would be nothing with I forgot his name.
Jack
White.
Jack White. Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Yeah, and Edge, obviously, like you hear the delay and you know it's Edge.
Everything.
Oh, you know, most of the tracks he uses like the same delay settings, and you know the sound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now somehow guitar has become such a super, I don't know, superpower that new people are actually saying Jimmy Page is a messy guitarist. And I mean, come on, shut up. I mean, Jimmy Page. I mean, if it wasn't, okay, let's go technical. If it wasn't a bit messy, he wouldn't be Jimmy Page.
Yeah, that's his signature thing.
If you want perfection, go to Steve Vai or Polyphia or whatever you want. I mean, it's good. You know, you have these bands. Also, what's his name? The guitarist that came to Malta. I always forget. I mean, sometimes I get tired listening to super fast guitar without
it's about the speed, but it's not about like actually conveying the message with the music somehow, you know.
They melt your face. They are super musicians, but I go as far as John Petrucci, yes, all day long, something like that.
I personally love Mark Tremonti. I mean his style, how he plays, and how he writes music as well.
But I don't classify him as a prolific guitarist like these.
No, he's not as iconic. He's going there.
He's got lovely rhythm, and
even the voice. I like how lucky you have to be able to play like that and then to sing like that how he does. It's like, I don't know if you know, he actually did which was very weird, he did a swing album. He sang swing songs like Sinatra kind of style.
I think it was Sinatra, someone else. He did an album for his dedication, appreciation to another guitarist. I forgot.
I didn't know that, but I heard like few songs from that album, and it's so weird that his voice also sounds good on that style of music, you know? It's not rough like what you get.
He sings Tremonti, on Tremonti only. The rest...
Alter Bridge, I don't think he sings.
No, he sings backing.
Because Miles Kennedy, he's the vocalist.
He's amazing.
I think Miles Kennedy now, he's with Slash as well. They have the...
Miles Kennedy has started off with Slash.
The Conspirators?
Slash and the Conspirators. I think that's where I heard him first with Slash, and I said like, wow, you know.
They did this acoustic session, like 2 acoustic guitars, him and Slash, and maybe it wasn't MTV. I think it was something else. But
some unplugged.
Some unplugged session, but it was so good. And also, I was gonna say something. Miles Kennedy voice. I mean, it's when you hear it.
I think it was Slash's. No, Slash's Snake Pit was the other guy. That passed now.
Yeah.
Of Stone Temple Pilots, right?
I think so. Yeah. Okay, so that's. I mean, but I agree. Like Mark Tremonti is not in the same shelf as Steve Vai. Let's say he's not there, and I don't think he's trying to be.
Not at all.
It's completely different approach to music. You know.
To mention someone else that's really cool, and I really like listening to him. He is extremely good. Apart from Nuno Bettencourt, I also like Sinister Gates. Sinister Gates is like, wow, you know, but he's got melody.
Okay. Since we mentioned
Avenged Sevenfold, he plays with Avenged Sevenfold.
Those are insane. I mean, I heard some tracks and the arrangements, and I think like the band itself is really big, right?
Avenged Sevenfold, I had seen them when they were big. I think it was 2017, 18 with Alter Bridge too.
I'm thinking now they're more into like symphonic rock, right? Like
no, they've got a weird dark kind of funeral dark, you know, skulls, but in a theatrical way, more of a not dark, but more.
It's not like Dream Theater.
No. It would musically, if there had to be a film, it would be that. What's his name? That guy that does the Bride. That producer of the, what is it called?
But it would be dark, basically.
Dark, but a bit. You know, weird.
I was gonna say, like, because you mentioned Steve Vai, we should say that you actually jammed with Steve Vai.
Yes.
How did that happen? Because I saw the photo and I thought it's photoshopped.
No.
I was like, really? Like this happened? I mean, where did you meet him? How did it happen?
The organizer of the gig was Paul Sellis. Paul Sellis, when he used to live in Malta and used to organize gigs, used to get some good bands to Malta. He used to follow me when I was quite busy on Elder Water. That's another project of Elder Water is a progressive rock ensemble. It was mostly instrumental, but then we got Joe Carney. We did a couple of songs with Joe Carney, and also we did two or three songs with Andrea Portelli, who did Eurovision this year. But mainly it was instrumental. And Paul Sellis liked what was going on. He was hearing maybe also Scar. He was hearing me Digger Things. And he invited me to play with him. He invited me and some other guitarists, and we went on the radio. I had my guitar because he told me, come with me, so we'll advertise the gig. And he told me to play. We were, I think, 5 guitarists. Basically, he liked my style. He liked the way I play. And I played with Steve Vai. And
Did you know that you're gonna play with Steve Vai, or that was a surprise?
And all of us said like, okay.
Were you nervous?
What is it? Not nervous. I tend not to get nervous. I tend to enjoy the moment and become silly.
Experience.
I mean, all my friends know I become silly backstage or something. I become stupid. I joke, and I'm like a child. I let myself go, and I say, you know.
But I think it's your way to take the stress away in some sense.
What?
You know.
I say it's happening. it's either happening or I'm at home in my pajamas watching television, so let's just enjoy it.
And what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen? I mean,
I missed the notes,
Even if you do everything good, someone's going to criticize you. So,
of course,
so don't
everyone's a critic right
everyone's a critic. So we said, Steve Vai, yes. We said, like, we went on his previous, on YouTube, we said, Mela, he jams on D minor.
Uh-huh.
And so the first guitarist goes out and we realize it's not D minor. He's jamming on something else. He comes back, the other guitarist, it's not D minor, it's G major or something. Like, and we were saying, okay, where is it? And we started practicing like what we're going to do. Because what happens, you go a bit blank before you're going to meet Steve Vai. You're going to go and Steve Vai. So you actually have to focus where you're going to put your hand when you're going to be in front of Steve Vai, because you're going to go a bit blank. So that was the only funny thing, but it worked well, then you're not going to take over, he's going to take over. What I noticed when we were there, we start playing, but then he's going to be there, he's going to stamp on you.
You're just the rhythm behind, and he's soloing.
Just enjoy seeing him. And what was good about that, Steve Vai was playing the guitar of the father of a friend of mine who passed, Steve Borge. Who was the creator and main guitarist of Purple Haze. Now I'm with Purple Haze, there was a nice connection there, Steve Vai, his guitar, and Purple Haze, we're keeping his name alive by keeping the band Purple Haze going on. We're doing some recordings in memory of him also, because still the same members.
And that cutout in the guitar, that's signature thing for Steve Vai, right?
That is the monkey grip. That is.
But I think only he has guitars like that.
He came up with the idea of the monkey grip. Yeah.
Because
his guitars have the monkey grip.
It's very like a signature thing.
Yes,
like,
yes.
If I think of Steve Vai, I think of the cutout guitar.
You don't have to carry, you're just carrying it from that hand, and it's really good. Really good.
I actually read on Google that you have PRS guitars endorsement.
We were endorsed by PRS when we were signed up with Cargo Records. With Ska, we had a deal with Cargo Records Germany, who are based in Wuppertal. We signed up with them. In fact, they had come to Malta. We had done a showcase for them. At the time, there was Cannibal Steve Muscat with us, who now plays with Ira Losco. We had done a showcase, and they had reissued our first album. They had taken care of the second album, and we also got endorsed by PRS Guitars. I was made one, and then given another one it was meant for the guitarist of Train. And Conrad has a prototype of the SC, I think.
So endorsement means basically they give you free guitar once in a while.
We were on the page. Things changed now. At the time when you went on the page on
PRS.
on the PRS, we were a featured band. So we had links, photos of us.
And Paul Reed Smith, he passed away, right? He's still alive?
Of course.
But you met him?
I met him in 2018 or 19.
Okay, but he's very old. I think like he's 80s.
Well, I'm sure he looks. I think he looks a damn sight better than me. He is hands-on. He's still there. He's still alive. When I went to PRS, I met Sean Nuthall, who was the bridge between us and PRS. He had come to Malta too.
Okay.
It was fantastic. I met Paul Reed Smith. We went around the factory. We saw all the stages of guitar manufacturing. We went into the vault where he keeps all the original prototypes, all the original cuts, all the drawings.
Like from the first...
In the vault, they call it the vault. You go in and you actually see the first...
It's like a gold mine.
Yes, it's incredible. The first dragon, that was scrapped. You have it. Doggy. You have the originals there. I saw the originals, Santana's, the staining process.
Wow.
The neck profiles. I had the guitar of Alex Lifeson in my hand, you know. I saw a prototype that was being done for Derek Trucks, which was supposed to be given to him, and I don't think it ever materialized. It was a lovely, solid body.
I wonder how many models they have, like prototypes that never went actually to production.
Actually, they never actually did a prototype and never followed it up. There were always prototypes. This one developed then into something else. You know, it is a process which takes obviously months to create a product and colors and everything. But they always had the core. They always had a single cut model and the classic double cut, which is a custom 24. I think the crown of the PRS is custom 24. I think.
Okay. I really want to talk about
Tinia, but we didn't even mention.
yes. But it's a big part of your life. I mean, I heard, like I said, so many stories from Jody, and he told me, you know, what used to happen there and how popular it was at the time. And I feel like you have obviously your own point of view from those times.
Tinia, we had started. I had started when there was a call. I was playing in a band, and someone mentioned, like, you should try out with Structure because the guitarist and main vocals have left and they're going to revamp the band. And I went to Tinia. That was my first time. I met the guys outside. I went to one of the cubicles, because they're not garages. They were wartime bunkers. I went down the stairs and I was in this bunker.
That's where the soldiers used to live, I guess.
Not live, where they used to be shooting and bombing and protecting themselves from the enemy.
So it wasn't the barracks. Barracks were
barracks were outside.
Where now they have the football pitch, right? I think somewhere
barracks. There were barracks around where we're saying, where there were bands. Jody's band was in a kind of barrack, but it was all reinforced under armor because that was a battery. It was like heavy.
It got bashed constantly.
Yes, underground. I mean, Jody's there was an opening, like a piazza, but when you go into his garage, it was like concrete.
He actually told me he used to live there for a while. You know?
Yes, quite a few guys used to like throw themselves there and stay there. Yes. So I met these guys of Structure. That was the first time I met Georgina. Today, people know as Georgina Bela.
Who is she?
Georgina Bela is the wife of Maestro Polabella. Maestro Polabella got to know Georgina because we got him in to manage Structure.
Of the whole fort?
No, Structure. The Structure was band. Structure was a band of the 80s, 1984. Structure. It was a band. It was not metal. It was commercial pop, but interesting. We had good sounds. Very, very nice group. It was quite popular. We're talking 83, 84. I joined them. I did an audition. They liked me, and we started gigging. We did the famous Marsa gigs, you know, where everyone was stoned out of the brains. You know, our Maltese Woodstock.
Yeah. See, like that. I know it's a bit off topic, but like everyone's like, "Oh, weed is like a big problem right now." It was always there. I don't know why people get so fired up about, you know, that the youth is smoking weed. Like, I know people who are in their 50s and they smoke weed. It's not about the youth. Yes. And it's like as if it became a problem in the last 10 years. It was always around. It was always. You know?
When at night, like this gig, I forgot what it's called because there were so many same gigs called, I forgot what it was. It was about 2-3 days camping. It was the real deal at Marsa, you know, bands, and everyone was like zombified.
Where was this? Where in Marsa Sports Club is right
Marsa
now?
Sports Club
there?
On the left, behind the steps. You know, there's the steps to watch over there. Those are grounds over there. We had But even at Tinia, they used to organize big concerts. Like once we had Nazareth over, and there were quite a few concerts over there.
You had Nazareth?
Nazareth came to Malta,
really?
yeah.
Okay.
We had to play, even I think Acid had to play, but there were so many people that came to watch. We couldn't get to the venue.
I mean, Nazareth at the time was like, top band.
We got stuck. Like, what are we going to do? We didn't play. Even Acid. I think I spoke to Charles 2 weeks ago, the guitarist of Acid. He told me we didn't even play because we couldn't even get to the venue. There were so many cars. I said, yeah, even us.
Some logistics issues,
It was a bottle trap over there. So, yes, we had Tinia. It was amazing. There were lovely band, lovely people there. I really enjoyed playing with Structure. It was a good thing. Then Paula Bella got in a serious relationship with Georgina. He took her away. We ended up with no singer. But since those times, I got to know there was Mark Cram. Today we know him as Mark Cram. Mark Attard, a very old dear friend of mine, who had come to hear me play at Tinia. And he came with Mark Malia. Mark Malia is a painter too nowadays. And they said, we're going to do a band. And it was a mixture because Mark Malia was, I think at that time, with Chai 2. Mark Attard was with Artwork. I was with Structure. And we got a band going with, I think he was a drummer of Extend. Then he ended up being my best man. Anyway, everyone knows each other, so we're always like.
How many bands do you think there were at that time? Obviously, they were constantly changing. Some moving out, some moving in.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 12.
Oh my God, that's
12.
That's a lot.
More.
Okay.
The time of Subvets, I'm saying,
and what was there was an end goal, like the bands were looking to get to somewhere, to get seen on TV. What was
no,
because I know Jody's band went on TV a couple of times.
There was
or it was just good time.
No, it was good times. We had gigs, and when we used to play at certain venues, people used to come. Obviously they weren't the venues that there are today, bars or something like that. We actually used to have concerts in halls with supporting bands, and everyone used to go. And yes, Jody, we were on television. I think Jody is referring to Mill Garage. I think
probably
there was a program organized by Joe Tanti that time on television. But when we played, we used to play live.
Okay.
It wasn't even recorded or playback. We actually played live with the cameras. And then we had...
So there was no playback?
There was no playback. We played live. If you see these with Man and White, the band then was called Man and White.
Okay. That's these days would be very risky on TV. TV tries to avoid live performance.
But at that time, we did it. That was the only way.
I remember Jody told me the story when they went. There was something with lyrics that basically he had to come up with them on the spot. Maybe the song wasn't finished or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he showed me the recording because it's on YouTube. There's a video where he actually is just improvising the lyrics on the spot on TV.
Are you sure you're talking about
TV.
Jody or about us?
No, Jody showed me
it's ran in everyone, because if you see our videos of Man and White, try and understand the lyrics. There's nothing on the lyrics. It was fine, lyrics were just coming and going as we spoke, as we went along. But it worked. We did, we had good concerts at Pembroke. There was a disco over there. I forgot the name of, what is it called? Pembroke, near the Park and Ride over there.
Okay. The only venue in Pembroke I know right now is the BMX warehouse. There's a place where they have ramps for BMX for skates, and then they use that warehouse, I think, for concerts sometimes. They organize gigs there.
This one is a big. I think they're going to start restoring it. I forgot the Raffles Raffles, yes. Raffles, it was called. Disco, massive disco. We played over there. That was a good stint. Man and White. It was called Man and White. Then Man and White became Elder Water.
Okay.
Because Elder Water, it was myself, the bassist of Man and White, the keyboardist of Man and White, and we had changed drummer, I think. But anyway, in Malta at that time, so the bands were all offshoots of other bands because we.
And Tigna Point got taken away from you at some point, right? Like they closed it off.
I think the last time
there was a story.
No, I think the last time I was at Tigna was 1987, I think, because then the development took over.
They started
closing up. First of all, they were stealing. There were some rooms that were being smashed in and
damaged
and things being stolen. So bands started moving out. I think that was the downfall of Tinia on the bands, when people started breaking in. Then there was a bar over there, but it was taken over by musicians. It was a music bar, but it was another generation. It wasn't our generation. It was already, they were younger than us, different style of music than Metallica and Megadeth style started coming in. It was a different scene.
Heavier.
That's where I got to know Toby.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna actually transition to Toda Musica. Because it's...
No, Toby Music. Toby. I've known him. We were in a band in 94. Toby, after when we were in here, even Toby knows the second generation of Tinia, where there was just the Tory bar and maybe a couple of rooms where they used to have music bands and everything. But then the development took over, and now it's Tinia Point. So,
but I know he was like a skater. He wasn't the metalhead, right?
That was before. But then Toby was a drummer of bands like Theatre. I got to know Mark Parlato, Trigona, who was the singer of the first song of Digger Things. And we needed a drummer because it was a fast. This is like a new stage for me when there was Metallica, Megadeth, and these bands, Slayer. It's something new. I went to Donington in 94 expecting classic bands, and it was like these new bands, which it took me a bit of time because they were called thrash metal. So like thrash metal, it was a bit, I took some time to get used to it. But then there was like Zakk Wylde, his band.
I saw the video where he's bleeding and still playing.
Yeah. And
Psycho.
So suddenly I got into that, and we formed a band, Nightwing, with Toby. And that's it. Then who got married, who got this, who got that.
Life happened.
And thankfully I met Mark again on the first song of Digger Things. Toby, I met him again with Toda Musica, where now he's a producer. He does production work.
Yeah, he produces a lot of artists in Malta.
Which was fun. We did the Eurovision together with Andrea and Cheryl. It's fun. I mean, I love playing different styles. Like, I love metal, I love rock, but I love funk, That's why, like, sometimes I like working with Ivan Grek because he's got the Winter Mood songs, but we also play varied covers. I play with the Rock Troopers, where we play rock covers too. That's a nice project of friends.
Eurovision, that's obviously your latest venture. I think like the one of the bigger projects recently. But Toda Music, I wanted to talk about that a bit because obviously you knew Toby before, but how did it come that you formed Toda Musica? Because obviously many years you didn't do anything together, and then somehow
COVID came by, and I didn't stop creating music. I sent some ideas to Toby, like it was easy. I mean, I sent him recordings or an email. Within a couple of days, he sent me back. Like wow,
collaboration,
playing
basically.
on it. And that rough idea, I sent it to Jody. And Jody sent it to me within a couple of days. So I had in hand Toby and Jody and myself. We had a song.
Oh, that's the one that
The
I did
first
video
one.
for.
first
Shadow
one.
of Myself.
No.
Oh,
We have
that
another
one.
one before that.
Okay.
Which was a video that we downloaded from internet. Or
That
whatever.
was electronic, very.
I forgot the name.
Very
I'm
electronic.
hopeless at names this time.
Yeah, no,
forgot
but
the name.
I saw the video because Jody showed it to me.
Jody sings on it.
But it was like a lot of synths. It wasn't rock.
No.
It was very
With Toby,
electro.
we go off the rock.
But
thing.
I feel like the one that we did, like the video that I did,
I love it.
Shadow for Myself.
that.
Like, to me, I'm trying not to be biased because I did the video, you know, but like that's to me like the probably best quality track that you did as Toda Musica, you know.
I agree.
It just flows.
Yes.
Like when you listen to it, there's nothing that sticks out that shouldn't be there.
I love it.
But and it has really good riff.
Yeah.
And I think Jody did justice with the lyrics.
Jody was extremely easy to work with. He came up with the lyrics and the vocal lines. It was extremely easy. And I try and because you notice straight away if some projects is going to be easy or not. Like even the Gettings, I work with David De Pasquale. Everything comes natural. I play with there's Nigel Nugi, who comes back with the vocal lines and lyrics. And there's no time wasting. It just happens without any effort at all.
But it's just with some people. Like
You know?
with other people, you don't feel the connection. You know, a lot of times.
You try and feel the connection, but I notice it's not going to work straight away.
Or you have to force it.
You know,
which doesn't feel good.
Sometimes you might force it because you think it's worthwhile. Like my biggest surprise ever to me was Elder Water, because if you hear Elder Water, it's quite complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite complicated. It was myself with Josef Fofi, amazing keyboardist, the original drummer of Elder Water, and Robert Gallia, who we had never played before with Robert. But we met and songs started flowing. They started flowing so fast that we had to get aboard and slow down, and write down. And we have 13, 14 songs, you know, which are 10, 5 minutes long, 8 minutes long. But if you hear them, they're quite intricate. And that was, for me, that was a really big step. And the Water for me was a lovely project.
And like in your eyes, generally, from obviously you've been in the scene so many decades, like you think Maltese music is changing to the for better or for worse? From your perspective, because you've seen like the whole process, you know, like from 70s, I guess you can evaluate up till today, you know.
We have some time ago, we had so much going on. Like I used to say, we're like the Seattle of the Mediterranean. There were so many bands coming out. Now, I think we're suffering from, I don't know, maybe originality. Either we like to follow trends, or we think we've made it. We think it's made, you know. You think, yes, I'm made. I'm good. I mean, people have to bow to me. When you get on that plane and you leave Malta and you look down at Malta, you realize that
it's
you
so
did
small.
nothing. You know, people like Mark Storace did something. People like Club Med or something like these bands, or I think Slit, where they go to Brazil and no one mentions them. You know, like, all right, thankfully, like Ira Losco, you know, she did go abroad and did things abroad, quite a few bands, but we tend to cover the commercial side when bands, underground or metal bands, do big things. We don't even have an idea. Like even when I did songs with Blaze Bailey and Tim Ripper Owens or Graham Bonnet.
There was no coverage?
No coverage at all. But when bands, I mean, Daniel Bezzina has a band. He said he went to Brazil. Not even I knew he went to Brazil. I said, you didn't get any coverage. No.
Okay.
When someone has a birthday, they put it all over the news. And then when some people, do some amazing things, amazing collaborations or something. I mean, that's what I feel sad about. That's, Malta, there are a lot of DJs, with all due respect, and DJs that even in the past, there was a radio station that used to do a yearly festival for bands. Now, unfortunately, that has died off. I think Malta, there are great musicians, great music, but let's keep our feet to the ground. Let's be humble, because, let's stop acting like prima donnas. If you have something good going or you think something good going, you snub out other people or you think you know it all. You snub people, because then you find out that these people that are snobs and that are big heads, a month after, they come out with something on the newspaper that they suffer from depression. It's all attention seeking, the music. Yeah. Do it for the love. If you work hard, do it also for the money. You don't need to step on anyone's head. There's plenty of bars, plenty of work, plenty of studios to record. Enjoy it, And
I mean, come on, to be honest, Rammstein came to record to Malta, right? The Temple Studios they used. I don't know which album exactly they did there. Or maybe just the first one.
He's got a plug, David's.
Okay. But I mean, if bands like that come to Malta, obviously you have facilities, you have everything here that you need. But from my perspective, obviously I don't know as much about the scene as you do, because that's your life. But I feel like a lot of good bands, for example, as far as I know, Red Electric, one of the most popular bands in Malta, right? I don't know if they actually strive to go overseas to be heard, because locally they're very heard.
They do.
But I see them here a lot in the events, in the weddings. I know that's what brings the money, right? Yes. But I don't know, because they're good. They're good.
You have to leave Malta, okay? The fact that some people are cancelling tours because of transport costs.
Okay.
In England, bands, just to travel on the continent. Now, imagine they tell you, Red Electric, come over, you're going to pay your flights, you're going to pay this. I'm sure they've tried even going out of their own pockets and paying everything to do something. You have to live on the continent. You have to do something outrageous. Nowadays, people aren't there just for the music. You have to do something outrageous. Yeah. If you go out in the middle of London and chop your friggin' hand off playing the guitar with one hand, you might have a chance. Because people now want immediate satisfaction. Something outrageous. Don't forget, people...
They're numb in a way, right? Like people, to spark something, you have to be like so extreme in a way. But then it takes away from music, I feel,
Take Maneskin. Let's take Maneskin.
Yeah.
Going to Red Electric, they have amazing music. They look good. They look great. They have everything, If they did the tours or the gigs they've done in Malta abroad, I'm sure there'll be something bigger going on. Artists have tried, even Era, even ourselves, Scar, we had played in Poland and Germany, but they had told us, your biggest problem is that you're not living on the continent. Yeah. Now, as fuel prices and everything has gone up, blah, 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 it's hard for them to finance you. Like David De Pasquale, they tour abroad, metal, and no one talks about them. They tour. Everything's on low budget, You might just take up your guitar, Thankfully, there are...
Take Ryanair flight.
Cheap flights, Ryanair has helped also because you have cheap flights. But to make it big, like Maneskin, they appeal to everything. To men, women, old, young, rock, pop. Let's face it, they look good in anything. I don't particularly like certain songs of them. The cover that they do, I don't know what cover it is. I didn't mind the one that they won.
Beggin'.
That one is coming out of my,
But even not the cover, the original, personally, I don't really like that song. And I feel like they have capacity to do much better music than they do.
Yes, but maybe, don't forget, it's big money there.
Maybe
management, there's management over them. If you go against management or record deals, you're gonna be dropped.
They're gonna destroy you.
They're not gonna risk. I think everything has become so planned, that you have to watch your step. You have to watch what you say, because as soon as you say something out of place, you're gonna be on YouTube. It might destroy your whole career. Malta, we have great talents. We just need maybe. That's why people are starving for this Eurovision, because they know that if you win or something, you're going to get exposure abroad. We need exposure abroad. We are not the center of the universe. We are a tiny speck in the Mediterranean where no one gives much of a toss about us. Frankly, let's be frank. No one cares about Malta.
There's this joke, like we joke around because I'm from Lithuania, and like, on the news when the weather comes up, there's like different cities marked.
And there's no
and Malta, like you can't even see
not
it.
Even in Euro
the
News. Not even in Euro News.
Yeah.
Like, I was with Eurovision, like, okay, Serbia are going to vote for us. We're going to get 12 points from Serbia. We've got so many Serbian friends.
But it's Balkans. They help each other. Like they don't care about Malta.
We said, we're going to have all Serbia voting for us because, we welcome their friends now. We're nothing. So Eurovision is limited. I think the only way we can do it is go abroad, like these bands are doing, these new bands. Go abroad, try and get into festivals, small festivals, be outrageous, dress up like a bloody tomato, and that's how you're gonna do it. You have to have good hits, good music, good everything. But if you want to be popular, you have to do something totally outrageous.
Yes.
I mean, people are criticizing now Coldplay.
For what?
Coldplay, because Coldplay were massive, big, good music. Now, everyone criticizes them because they changed or they're too the same or something.
Yeah.
People tend to criticize,
but people don't like change in general. Like once they love something, they don't want that thing to change a lot of times. And I feel like, for example, Coldplay, my wife's sister, she was in a concert, like 50,000 people, in the stadium. And she was like, it was like out of body experience. Like everyone's so positive.
Yes.
They had these bracelets that light up based on music,
I saw them
and she was like, that's the best concert I've been to. Everyone's so friendly and you feel like everyone came for that music.
It is a religious experience. It is actually a religious, it is something that adulation. You've reached a point over there where you're adoring. You're in fantasy land over there.
Yeah, you're a fan basically. That's how you become a fan.
Exactly.
And I don't see anything bad. I haven't heard that people are actually saying that Coldplay is
the die-hard fans. It's the die-hard fans because they changed or they didn't change or because the new stuff isn't good.
Yeah.
But that's normal, I suppose. I think you have to have.
You wouldn't expect when they released Yellow, for example, one of their biggest tracks. You wouldn't expect, because it was like released in 2002, that they would still sound the same in 2023. Like it doesn't make sense. Obviously, their sound progresses.
I know.
Maybe only AC/DC stayed the same, but all the other bands, most of the time, they progress. They look for new instruments, new sounds, new collaborations, and it evolves your music. I mean, I don't really understand when people say, "Oh, they changed."
You're never gonna hit the nail on the head every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But lifespan of a band is short. People get overloaded on every media with a lot of music, a lot of bands. If you're gonna do it big, you have to get something really catchy. People don't listen to the lyrics, something catchy, that's going to be good. Bands, you're going to have your ups and downs, your lull. To be in this business, you have to close your ears, have a good stomach, because you're going to get a load of stuff into you, by people. Believe in what you're doing, be happy and thankful that you're doing it. Always try and be humble.
And play the long game, I think.
Always try and be humble, because sometimes, I mean, once it happened to us, we were in playing Poland, and there was this guy, the guitarist, with his hair all studs. And there was a guitarist of another band who was like super nerd. And this guy, he thought he was the thing. He went on stage, he played, right? But then this guy came on stage, the nerd, and he...
Like shredded.
He shredded. And like...
Don't judge the book by the cover, right?
You're cool, but, that's all, just be humble. Enjoy music. Music is like painting, You paint your own thing, be original with your painting. Someone might like it, you might be lucky, Painting. I see painting and art. It's exactly like music. Luck, your inspiration, the moods, the colors, the darks, the lights.
And a lot of times I feel like it's being in the right place at the right time as well.
It's always the case, in arts especially. But if you tend to look at others too much, you lose your style, you lose your originality, you stop your creativity, because you're always looking at others around you. You might even get tired and say, forget it. Concentrate on what you're doing. Make sure you're doing the best that you're doing.
Concentrate, but take influences from others. I feel like, there's the saying, everything's a remix. Like,
yes,
you cannot come up with original stuff per se. Anything you came up and you think it's original, it was influenced by something that you heard maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe yesterday. But it's like accumulation of things that you already heard. For example, when we talk about music, right? You're not gonna come up with new chord that no one ever used.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
As a band, then you become original. If you original, you have influences, but then as a band, each one tries to put his original input or his influences. Then as a band, you're gonna be original.
That's how you become original. Like different inputs from other people and their perspectives. I agree.
Like when the Beatles came out, like they were original, but how many offshoots were there at that time? They dressed the same, they played the same, they played the guitar up here. There were so many rip-offs.
But it was something new, like the haircuts, the suits, that's what made them stand out. And then how many bands followed the dress code, the haircuts, everything. It was so funny to watch after they came out, how many bands they changed exactly looking like Beatles, Okay. And I think to wrap this up, what's in the future plans? You obviously have so many projects. You mentioned like 5 or 6 different projects at the moment. But do you have any releases coming, big gigs that you would like to mention?
Releases, we've got a song coming out, Purple Haze. We've got another song with Bruce Samut, his next single.
Is that with Tauda Musica?
No.
Just you and him?
Just Bruce. It's a song. He told me to play guitar on his track. No, Tauda Musica. It's his own single. I've got concerts coming up with Ivan Grek. Then there's with Tiziana Calleja, we have 2 nights rock and roll in May. It's a dance, singing, band experience kind of thing. Summer's coming up.
Orchestra, but that's in the summer, right?
That is September.
But that's the one I'm looking forward every year, because they choose like last year I think they did Queen, a lot of Queen tracks.
No, they're always changing.
Like different bands, right?
Orchestra always has a variety. They never like focus on Queen or something. They have a variety of songs.
Yeah, but I have a soft spot for Queen. So if I see it in the poster that they're gonna play some Queen tracks, I'm coming. If I can, I'm coming.
Yes, we've had many. Even in this rock and roll night we have coming up, we have a couple of songs of Queen. But things are busy. Everyone's thankfully playing. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's busy. it would be nice if we get more Maltese artists abroad. It would be cool. It would be cool.
That's for the future, and I feel like it's coming. Obviously, there's once in a while someone that shoots for the stars, and they make it.
Yes, you have to shoot for the stars, but humbly, but surely.
And like you mentioned, local support is very, very important. For artists.
Yes, it is. In fact, when you have gigs, during the summer, it's the foreigners that somehow enjoy the gig more. When you look in front and you see people jumping, having a drink, singing, most of them are foreigners. Then you look further back and you see the Maltese with the bottle in his hand, just looking. I don't know, they're looking to
jealous.
No, not jealous. I don't know, to see what you're doing or something, or maybe not so enthusiastic, or maybe he's worried about the next day going to work. But the foreigners really know how to enjoy themselves, even Maltese. In the metal scene, the Maltese, yes, do enjoy themselves.
Yeah,
let's put it this way: if I go and see a band, I won't be the one in front jumping with a bottle in my hand singing. I'll be most probably on the side.
You choose the best spot for the sound, so it sounds good,
No, I choose the best spot so no one bugs me.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I just want to enjoy myself and enjoy watching the band, But the younger generation, go for it.
Those times when even I was in the front of the stage, that's best. I would do like what you would do. I would go somewhere in the back, choose like spot in the middle where it sounds good, you get the good output, not too loud like in front of the stage. I don't want like 120 dB in my ears, and blood coming out.
In fact, now when we go to concerts, we before used to go to festivals standing up or camping. Now we sit down, we find a good place, sit down, and if someone stands up in front of me to film, I tell them, sit down.
Just throw something at them. But and on the 120 decibels, I remembered because in May I'm going to Rammstein concert in Lithuania. They're starting their tour, first concert in Lithuania with my brother. And he was like, let's go, because he's younger. He was like, let's go to the front of the stage. I was like, man, do you know Rammstein and the sound out, like the volume that they have? I'm not going to go to the front,
I'd love to watch them.
Because there's going to be obviously mosh pits, all of that. I said, like, let's stay at least in the middle, where it's not so dangerous like in the front, But I'm looking forward because I know they're going to have pyro and,
Definitely.
it's a show.
It's a show.
A lot of people, I feel like they go to Rammstein gigs not for the music necessarily, for the music as well, but for the actual show, like the visual, that they do.
I love the riffs, I love the music, I love the atmosphere they create.
It's crazy, yeah. Lindemann, like the solo project that he does? It's so weird.
True.
Yeah, he started Lindemann with this American guy. I think he's producer, guitarist. But that guy left, and now Till is on its own, I think, on his own. Like, he writes music. Maybe Rammstein musicians help him, put tracks down.
Okay, I didn't know.
It's a solo project.
I didn't know.
It's very weird, like he's weird in himself, even in Rammstein, but like his solo stuff is even weirder, And I know he writes poetry. He's like super artsy person, so you wouldn't expect anything else from him, just to have very unique style. But I'm looking forward to that, and this has been lovely, man. Like we need to cut it, but it was very lovely to talk to you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thanks.